What's everybody? Check out the V Club here, otherwise known as the Villain Club. Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. Daily content on about anything and everything. Off the cuff, off the script. I mean, it's just whatever speaks of my mind. And I can speak for your mind too, because I know that we're think just alike. But anyhow, that's what it's all about here on this channel. Just talk about something of another every day, and it's anything, everything. And if you got something you want to talk about, you can always shoot me a comment, send me an email, message me, however you want to reach out to me, and we could talk about it. All right, easy, no big deal. I'll answer any question whatsoever. Got nothing to hide. So that's what it's all about. So anyhow, there's been a lot of stuff going on a political scale, right? With Kamala going on and Gavin Newsom raising gas, well, he's raising gas prices, uh, maybe in his lame brain unintentionally, but it's going to go up because he is a lame brain, um, and don't know how to run a business, and that's why prices are going to go up because of his dumb actions. And then we took a little side story here about this transgender volleyball player that's on the team, women's team, and so obviously they have an advantage, and they could be dominating, but schools forfeit because of that. They'd rather not play than to play against, um, you know, a fake female. Anyhow, that's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is we're just going to catch up back on the Trump Kamala train here and see what's been going on the last couple of days. All right, so let's get to it. All right, we got a lot to talk about actually, because as you all know, I alluded to it yesterday, and let's talk about it. All right, so biggest thing that's been going on is that let's see here, where is it at? Where is it at? So Trump goes on the Joe Rogan show, right? Joe Rogan show, big podcast with one of the largest audience for his podcast that there is. To be able to go on the Joe Rogan show is something there, and because years ago Rogan was more on the Democratic side of things and would not even, I don't even think he would have entertained having Trump in studio, um, you know, back then versus now. So you have that. All right. And Kamala actually had a chance to be on the show with Rogan, but actually she turned down um, being on Rogan's show, even though they're in the same state, believe it or not, because Rogan's in Texas. And while Kamala was doing a rally in Texas, by the way, a rally here that was falsely advertised. This is the rally here with Beyonce. So, um, it was advertised that Beyonce's going to be there, right? So it brought people because that's the thing with Kamala is that she is trying to use celebrities as a way to leverage people to go along, to attract people to go along. Um, and so when you look at that, it's like, wow, because herself doesn't have the weight or the power to like really, bring people along to fill these rallies. So you got to have all these celebrities pop up or come on screen to speak about something. And so it was advertised that Beyonce was going to be there to perform, right? That was one of the things that was reported here, is that Beyonce was supposed to be able to go there to perform, but instead she shows up and does a 4 minute, 40-second speech, and that was that to endorse Kamala, and that's that. So, to the dismay of the people, because they really thought she was going to perform, and she didn't, it disappointed a lot of people. It broke a lot of people's hearts. It's pretty funny. Um, so we'll talk about that. And then I also want to tie in the third. I mean, it could probably be a separate video, but I'm going to quickly tie in a third subject matter, which is another news that broke out about the LA Times, which major newspaper at one time, but still has some media, leverage, especially in the LA area. Decided not to endorse I was going to say Beyonce, but endorse Kamala. But there's a reason to that, all right? And it's not what you think. It's not about is a Trump supporter and all that, even though it's the LA area, right? It's a lot more deeper than that, and I'll talk about that too as well. Um, or maybe I might do that in a different video, because that might be a different video. Because there's a lot to cover for that as well. We'll see. Because I don't want to put a super long video together. I mean, I can. I don't mind, but in the interest of just trying to keep it together, I try to keep it relatively good amount of time, but I don't want to overdo it either. So I get it. So we'll see if we can talk about this. All right, the whole LA Times situation and what I found on that. All right, so where do I begin? All right, because this whole thing led to what do you call it? Kamala getting heckled too by the audience. Well, let's talk about Trump and Rogan real quick, all right? So let's see here. I'm gonna go to this one. I thought this would be the best way to cover this. I hope Watch Mojo doesn't mind that I share this. I give Watch Mojo I give them the credit for them to consolidate this together. So before we begin, he sat down for a 3 hour, if you want to call it an interview or chat, some banter, whatever you want to call it, shoot the shit, with Joe Rogan. So that's pretty cool in itself. I mean, would Kamala be able to sit around for 3 hours to do the same thing? No, I think, the most she's done is maybe, a 20-minute sit down interview, 30-minute. That's what she has done. But to go 3 hours, that Trump has stories to talk about, experience to share, and all that stuff. And, when he speaks about just things in general, it's always fascinating stuff. It's stuff that he doesn't have to force himself to say things, and you can tell that he speaks naturally, and he can just go on and on and on about things in a natural way, right? It's not forced. It's not trying to come up with some word salad bullshit. It's sharing experiences. It's sharing ideas. It's sharing just stuff that makes sense, right? In general, at the same time, everything he speaks about. So let's take a look at this clip here of top 10 moments from Joe Rogan's interview with Trump.
Elon Musk, yes. He endorsed me. By the way, he gave me the nicest endorsement, too. The tougher. He said, the country's going to fail. You should do the same thing, Joe, because you cannot be voting for Kamala.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks.
And so it's interesting, too, because if you look at all these people that have now come out to support Trump, these are some notable people, heavyweights in the world, not just celebrities and stuff. Joe Rogan is a media, I can say sensation because, to have that many people on his podcast, He's done hosting of shows and all that. He's done UFC, not fighting, but hosted UFC. He's done a lot of things. All right. Now media, right, with podcasting. You look at that. You look at Elon Musk, right? He's kind of like, everybody refers to him as like the Tony Stark of reality, right? Because he is. He's a creator of electric cars, SpaceX, and who else he has in store. You know what I'm saying? So Elon Musk is like Tony Stark, Iron Man. And it says he might even make an Iron Man suit one day. You just never know. But you have people like them, right? You have politicians that have crossed the aisle to join in. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. When you look at people like that, these are notable people that were all in the Democrat side of things back then. But the Democrats have changed so much. They've gone so progressive and so elitish that they're forgetting and they're pushing people aside like we're just nobodies, right? That we're just inferior to them, because they're the elites, right? And when you look at the celebrities, it's just more of a turnoff to see all these celebrities, more and more, of Hollywood, more and more, joining in and endorsing, Kamala or supporting Kamala, when it's like, do you really know why you're supporting her? I bet they don't even know why they're supporting her. Right? You even asked Ben Stiller when he said, "Oh, she just gives good vibes and stuff," and it's like, well, that's not really, telling you anything. So let's see what Watch Mojo says here.
For the wildest, most compelling moments from former President Donald Trump's hotly anticipated appearance on Joe Rogan's smash hit podcast.
And every time I had to deal with a country, when they saw this whack job standing behind me, they said, "Oh man, Trump's going to go to war with us."
Number 10. Trump's plans for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
First of all, I love this idea of you teaming up with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
And I love this Make America Healthy Again idea, because there are chemicals and ingredients in our food that are illegal in other countries.
The 2024 election cycle has, for lack of a better term, been an extremely wild ride. In an unprecedented sequence of events that found an incumbent president dropping out after the primaries, somehow the fact that a member of the Kennedy family was running for office took a back seat.
I think he's a great guy.
I love the fact that you guys teamed up.
Yeah.
And
What's interesting too is when you look at how RFK crossed the aisle to join in with Trump, right? That's different for the cause versus when like Liz Cheney crossed the aisle to join in with Kamala, right? There's a big, stark, contrasting difference when you see what each represents, right? Because when you look at Liz Cheney, she's a nobody, right? She's hanging off the coattails of Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney wasn't liked, all right, because he virtually was running the presidency of George W. Bush, and he wasn't really liked, but he was pretty powerful in a sense because he liked to run wars. He was a neocon, right? And neocons, they have a different kind of agenda on the Republicans versus, say, like MAGA Republicans, right? They have a different agenda, but their agenda more aligns with, in a sense, with the Democrats, right? And you can look at it as a good or bad thing, but is it the right thing? Is it the American thing? Yes and no. MAGA is more about America first, right? Neocons, it's a different kind of breed, It's really hard to describe, but they're more Democrat than Republican in a sense. But I think the significance of RFK is more powerful in joining Trump versus Liz Cheney joining Kamala. There's a big difference because of the heritage and family of the Kennedy family. You know, they were Democrats at one time, and even the thought of RFK joining in with Trump, his family vilified him for making that move, which is crazy. They didn't support the move; they vilified him, and that's sad, you know. And so I think it's a great addition and a great move to be able to work hand in hand together, RFK and Trump together. I think it's a good, I guess say bridge, right, to basically bridge America together. You know.
Are you completely committed to have him a part of your administration?
Oh, I am, but the only thing I want to be a little careful about with him is the environmental.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., son of the Attorney General and New York Senator, initially ran as a Democrat before switching to an independent run and then dropping out of the race entirely and endorsing Trump. Trump said on Rogan that Kennedy would be guaranteed a spot to have carte blanche in his administration, despite their clashing views on environmentalism.
I said, focus on health, focus. Yeah. You can do whatever you want, but I got to be a little bit careful with the liquid gold, you know?
I understand. But listen, there's plenty of good work that could be done if you focus on health.
Number 9, Trump brags about how healthy he claims to be.
I was never one that could run on a treadmill. And I can do it. You know, when passing a physical, they ask me to run on a treadmill, and then they make it steeper and steeper and steeper.
As noted by the BBC, former President Trump has been scrutinized by Democrats for his apparent refusal to release his health records. Vice President Kamala Harris has done so, and her records declare her fit for the presidency.
And the doctor said it was at Walter Reed. They said, it's unbelievable. I'm telling you, I felt I could have gone all day. But I said, Doc, I can do this all day long.
While Trump didn't address calls to release the aforementioned records on Rogan, he claimed that, during a physical examination undertaken at an unspecified date, even his doctor was surprised by Trump's level of physical fitness. This is especially interesting given Trump's consistent claims that he doesn't exercise. The former president insisted that golf is enough movement for him when talking to Rogan.
But it's boring to me. Do you understand?
Right.
It's just boring.
Golf's exciting.
But I did it for so long. They couldn't believe it that I did it. And I never did, I don't do it. I don't do it. I have friends that run it.
James. You know what's interesting, too, is, they're trying to challenge his fitness for presidency, but when you think about it, how does the hell he have the energy to just continuously go on these campaign rallies and interviews and just, jetting around all over the place, doing all these things daily, right? Like I be needing a nap, and I'm way younger than Trump, and I would be needing a nap from doing all that. I mean, I'm just like, shit, man, I need a break. I need a break too, and I'll be napping and stuff because man, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he has the energy to just go on like this, To me, I commend him for his health to be able to just continuously just do all these things literally nonstop and still perform and be able to just do things on the scale that he's been doing. It's crazy. And so to me, there's no way that you should challenge his fitness for presidency when he's proving that on the daily, right? With all the just nonstop, just continuously going around everywhere, doing things. It's crazy.
Number 8, Trump discusses The Apprentice.
Well, the concept, it was really like two different lives. I had a very wonderful life, but I wanted to do this. The Apprentice was still going very strong. We had 12 seasons.
At the podcast's outset, Rogan inquired as to how deciding to run for office had negatively impacted public perception of Trump, as well as his treatment by his fellow Hollywood celebrities. They both claimed that the hosts of The View and Oprah, for example, had initially held highly favorable opinions of him before polling indicated that Trump had a real shot at the presidency.
They wanted me to stay. They all came to see me. They said, we're going to give you a contract. They wanted to extend my contract. Mark Burnett is a great guy. And they wanted to extend the contract. Mark said, "You're crazy. Don't run, don't run."
This led to Trump breaking down the conditions that found him departing the show for politics. Praising executive producer Mark Burnett, Trump explained that opinion polling around the time of the 2012 presidential election had first caused him to seriously consider realizing his long-held political aspirations.
And so I was thinking about doing it then, but I had a contract with The Apprentice. Plus, I was building 2 big buildings at the time, and I wanted to make sure they got finished up properly, and it was one of those things.
Number 7. Trump reveals his, quote, biggest mistake.
Wow, I didn't know he was considering back in 2012. Imagine that. If he was to run in 2012 instead of Mitt Romney, that would have been interesting to, how things might have been different. Instead of having two cycles of having Obama, you could have possibly, maybe not sure, had Trump even earlier. Would have been interesting, but we'll never know.
As president,
I had a lot of success. Great economy, great everything. Everything was great. The military, we rebuilt it. Biggest tax cuts in history. All this stuff we did. We had a great presidency.
The former president has never been shy when it comes to slagging his perceived enemies and, quote, haters. When Trump ascended to the presidency, the caliber of his foes shifted significantly from, say, Rosie O'Donnell and the other hosts of The View.
I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Yeah, neocons, or bad people, or disloyal people.
Prompted by Rogan to reflect on regrets he had from his time in the Oval Office, President number 45 didn't hesitate in revisiting a familiar talking point, insulting those he personally feels have wronged him. In this case, that was a number of appointments he made as president, including the, quote, idiot John Bolton, as well as his former chief of staff John F. Kelly.
He's bad. Bolton was an idiot, but he was great for me because I'd go in with a guy like a John Bolton. You know John Bolton.
Number 6. Trump.
Yeah, one thing that he spoke about too was, well, not necessarily here, but in general, was when he first was president, he surrounded himself with people who he thought would be of help to him because he, really never ran office before, so of course he didn't know the ins and outs of everything, so he tried to surround himself with people that kind of just know these things and to try to, what he thought would be in a good place. But then after the presidency, he realized, man, he got a lot of people that just weren't really that great for him, that, and this time around, he's going to surround himself with people that he knows is going to do a better job because he knows better now because of that experience. So it's going to be a very interesting presidency for Trump.
Thinks Kim Jong-un just needs to chill.
And don't underestimate if you take a look at North Korea, I was there. I was with Kim Jong. I had a great I got along great with him.
Trump's presidency was obviously significant for a number of reasons, but one of the most prominent was his relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. After a heated 2017 back and forth, which saw them insulting each other, they reportedly developed a rapport resembling friendship.
I liked how you called him Little Rocket Man.
I said, yeah, Little Rocket. I said, Little Rocket Man, you're going to burn in hell. And it was a rough.
Yeah.
Oh, so rough that people were worried. This is crazy.
Notably, Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to meet with a North Korean leader, but this ultimately didn't yield any progress on the country's denuclearization. On Rogan, Trump described his interactions with Kim and amusingly suggested that the general secretary take a break from building nuclear weapons to go relax on a beach.
I got to know him better than anybody. And I said, do you ever do anything else? Why don't you go take it easy and relax? Go to the beach. You have beautiful beach, nice beachfront property. Kiddingly.
Number 5. Why Trump gets so much publicity.
I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying.
It didn't take long for Trump to let loose on one of his trademark stream of consciousness monologues. Soon after detailing his regrets as president, the former real estate magnate stopped to speculate as to precisely why he warrants so much media coverage and attention. As we all know by now, Trump is the only president to have served without previous government or military experience, which he highlighted during the Rogan interview.
I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
The podcaster offered up a humorous but accurate hypothesis: Trump's characteristic penchant for outrageousness. Rogan then touched on how the former president's unfiltered, unspoken, seemingly genuine nature has been an integral part of his appeal to voters.
CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Number 4, Trump almost admits to losing the 2020 election.
Stupid.
So I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over again that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed?
It was the question that was on everyone's mind. How is Rogan going to handle Trump's election denialism? From day one, the former president has maintained that he did not lose the election to President Biden, and very much in line with his other stances, that it was, quote, crooked and supposedly rigged against him.
And I would bring in papers that you would not believe, so many different papers. That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay.
Rogan allowed Trump a soapbox to air his grievances, and his response was interesting. The former president claimed to have documents that would prove his statements, and lambasted the voting process for its alleged unfairness. In one notable slip-up, Trump nearly admitted his margin of defeat before quickly correcting himself.
They say that made, I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000 votes.
Number 3, Trump attempts to score a Rogan endorsement.
Do me a favor. Do you know Elon Musk? Yes. He endorsed me. By the way, he gave me the nicest endorsement, too. The tougher. He said, the country's going to fail. You should do the same thing, Joe, because you cannot be voting for Kamala.
You kind of have to hand it to Trump. It was nothing short of incredibly bold to try and coax an endorsement out of Joe Rogan, live on his own podcast. It was almost thrilling to watch. Asking Rogan if he'd heard that Elon Musk had endorsed him, Trump not so subtly tried to get the podcaster to do the same right then and there.
I've watched you. I know him better than he does. You know what? Without speaking to you, I think I know you maybe almost as well as your wife. I have watched you for so many years. You're not a Kamala person.
The former president expressed disbelief that Rogan could be a Harris voter and made a somewhat curious argument as to how they knew that Rogan would be in the pro-Trump camp. Rogan, to his credit, did not seem to acknowledge Trump's college try, laughing it off and encouraging the president to stay on track.
Your weave is getting wide. We're getting wide with this weave.
But isn't it
I want to
much
bring
better?
it back to tariffs.
But wait one second. Before we finish with tariffs, they said, could you get him? We need Starlink.
Number 2, Trump and Rogan clash on the environment.
Look, I've done so many they call it environmental impact study. I did so much to build a building. To build a building in New York is very tough. You got to deal with. Think of it.
On paper, the president and the podcasters seemed like a natural fit, and this proved to be mostly accurate during the interview itself. However, there were more than a few moments in which Rogan proved to be less than receptive to Trump's signature braggadociousness. The most visible friction between the two stemmed from Rogan's environmental concerns.
Financing, unions, all the municipal stuff, environmental. Of all of it, to me, the toughest thing was the environmental, because they could stop you cold with the environmental impact studies.
The comedian listened intently as Trump described his history of supervising the construction of buildings in New York City and the environmental considerations that come with, as well as his criticism of bureaucracy and government red tape. In response, Rogan pushed back by suggesting that some level of regulation and oversight would prevent disasters, such as the devastating 2010 BP oil spill.
Right, but there are legitimate concerns about environmental impact, correct? Look about the BP oil spill. There's a lot of things that do happen that are environmentally devastating, and you want to mitigate that as much as possible.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest.
All right, that's Watch Mojo, and that's a consolidated version of the 3-hour interview, right there for you. So let's see, what was the number one thing that Trump talked about here?
For one, Trump might believe in Martians.
There's a lot of interest in it.
One of the things that
there's a lot of interest in the people coming from space,
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, I'm very interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
In what was perhaps the most eyebrow-raising moment of Trump's entire Joe Rogan experience, the former president casually floated his belief that there may be life on Mars. The admission was spurred on by Rogan's inquiry into Trump's decision to declassify documents relating to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
But I interviewed a few people. It's never been my thing, I have to be honest. I have never been a believer. I have people that Area 51 or whatever it is. I think it's the #1 tourist attraction in the whole country or something. Area 51 in Las Vegas. Do you know that, right?
Sure.
Rogan, who's spoken to ufologists in the past as part of his show, asked Trump about interviews with pilots who claim to have witnessed such phenomena. A highlight occurred when Rogan challenged Trump on his suggestion, and the president responded by doubling down. Whether you love Trump or hate him, it's inarguable that he's an entirely unique personality.
I mean, there's no reason not to think that Mars and all these planets don't have life, because
Mars, we've had probes there and rovers, and I don't think there's any life there.
Well, maybe it's life that we don't know, but maybe
there was life there at one point in time.
What was your favorite moment from the former?
All right, so that's what was pulled as a top 10. Anyhow, while this fascinating take on this another Trump interview, right? A chat, a conversation. Meanwhile, let's see here. So Kamala, of course, had a rally in Texas where Rogan's at. So she could have easily been on the Joe Rogan show. And think about this, all right? If Joe Rogan was a Democrat, even though he didn't, endorse Trump, this would have been a shoo-in on the front of, some of the ideologies of Joe Rogan, is Democratic. And at the same time, if Kamala's trying to reach to the men, right? Since she's doing a man campaign and trying to reach out to the men audience, what better way to do so than to go on the Joe Rogan show, right? Which is a largely man audience. So that was something that she dropped the ball on yet again. And the funny thing too is when you look at this whole Harris rally, and there's Beyonce here. Beyonce's going to be here. Well, when you look at what happened, all right, Kamala Harris mocked after Beyonce fails to perform at her Texas rally, baited people with a free concert, all right, because rumors swirled that Beyonce performed at the crowd in Houston on Friday were let down when the superstar failed to put on a show for the crowd of 30,000. All right. Instead, she just did her 4-minute 40-second speech about endorsing Harris and going on about abortion rights and about being a family and a mother and all that stuff, and left the stage without performing, leaving critics to claim that Bey was snubbing the Democratic presidential nominee. Instead, 91-year-old Willie Nelson performed for the crowd. So, according to X Post, critics claim rallygoers just wanted to catch a free Beyonce concert and calling the lack of performance unbelievable. So there was disappointment in that. People are just, look at that. She can't even deliver on promises of her own followers with a Beyonce performance. But yes, she would totally close the board and stuff. Yeah. And then during her speech, she said she was not appearing as a celebrity, but not a politician. I'm here as a mother, and a mother who cares about the world and our children that we live in, and the freedom to control our bodies in a world where we're not divided past, present, or future. So when we control our bodies, that's in reference to abortion, obviously, right? So that was something there. And she spoke about it, and then there was another, let's see here. There was like a video, Vice President was joined by Bruce Springsteen in Georgia, Eminem in Detroit, and endorsements by Taylor Swift and Leonardo DiCaprio and Sarah Jessica Parker. They were all like on video screen. So you have that, right? I mean, you can see here, another one here by the Daily Mail, right? They're UK based. Same thing. They were there. They were furious because they thought that she was there to sing, right? Some fans had waited more than 12 hours, all right, expecting a performance. And, the singer appeared to be tantalizing and close to delighting the crowds when she began to talk about how it's time for America to sing a new song. I mean, think about that. All right, if she said that and then led to singing the song, oh man, how much the crowd would have just gushed for that stuff. You know what I mean? But to not perform, I mean that's yeah for sure disappointing. And so that's it would just be disappointing, right? Beyonce previously performed during her endorsement for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So in a sense, that is kind of a snub to Kamala because she performed for Hillary, but yet she didn't perform for Kamala. I mean, that's kind of like crazy, you know what I'm saying? And this is Kelly Rowland, part of Destiny's Child, a friend of Beyonce there. And yeah, she didn't sing either, is what it says here. Jessica Alba was there, Willie Nelson, and they show Leonardo DiCaprio. So every time you see these celebrities popping up for Kamala, I just lose respect for that, because they don't know. They're only because of good vibes. They can't say that because of the Biden presidency is doing such a good job. That really shows the elite side of things, right? Who these elites, so-called elites, are, right? Because when you look at DiCaprio, you look at Eminem, he's kind of popped up towards that elite status, especially in rap music performance, right? Based background now. You look at Alba, right? An accomplished actress. Again, Hollywood actress, right? DiCaprio, actor, right? Springsteen, and it goes on and on. All these celebrities, right? Only because of good vibes, you know what I'm saying? And so it lead to Kamala being heckled by the audience, right? Because they were just like, WTF here? What the heck? Is that? When they were expecting at least Beyonce to sing maybe one song, so that was the thing though. So let's see if they show that heckled at the rally. Heckled there. Yeah, right here. Deals with protesters heckling her at the campaign rally here. Let's take a look here. They didn't show it. They didn't show that. All right, let me show Tyrone Magnus here. All right, check this out.
What is happening, Magnus? So from what I understand, Kamala Harris got booed and heckled at a rally. I'm hearing Beyonce did not perform like she was supposed to. I'm hearing they were having problems with a big screen there.
Yeah, that's another thing. The big screen.
I'm hearing that there were Trump supporters there. So I don't know what it's all about, but I am here
he's covering all the bases reaction.
There. So let's check this out.
Yeah, let's check it out. Thank you, Tyrone.
That small rally comment again. Ain't that the one she used for the people that said Jesus is Lord?
Yeah, she used the same line again.
They're doubling down. Hey, what did she say? Wow, some people don't have a good sense of direction, so we'll show them the way. Hey, I got a question. Why on podiums like that do they have two mics when you really only need one? Why? I really am curious about that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. Oh, he's playing the same clip I played.
Reproductive care. Sure. Man, check this out. Hey, black folk, look up Planned Parenthood's history. Look up the history of Planned Parenthood.
All right, so that's that. All right, so that's enough of this stuff. That's what happened. While Trump again, he'll sit down and do all this stuff, right? The interviews and all that. And yes, he's turned down going back to CNN. He's turned down MSNBC or whatever, NBC, because you know why? Because they're so progressively liberal and one-sided that they're not fair to Trump. And he says, screw you guys, like, why should I do that shit? I'll just go along these other places. I'll do the rallies. I'll do all this stuff and show you guys that, hey, you know what? I'll one-up every one of you guys on everything, and that's what he's doing. Meanwhile, Harris is just dropping the ball over and over and really just being exposed. The more she talks, the more it's really bad. She's just so bad about everything, She sucks. She's terrible. And it really shows a difference in class, too, because, the separation of us, middle America, us, just American, and the elites, And that's the thing about it, and just the more I see it, the more I'm just kind of like disgusted by it, So yeah, so thanks Tyrone, thanks Mojo, Top Mojo, and anything else that I covered here. I think that's everybody today. So that's the latest here. I just wanted to share with you guys. I share some insights throughout the sound bites of everything. Hopefully you agree with me on that stuff. And, it is what it is, but so much makes sense with Trump, And all I got to say is, you look at the track record of both, and you really see the difference straight up. You can't believe everything that she's saying, because she's really terrible, and flip-flopping all the time, word salad. And you want her as a leader? Really? Anyhow, just think about it. But that's all for today. Comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell icon. It's about anything and everything. The V Club. And other than that, thank you, and I'll see you next one.